Welcome to Tell Me More. We have a different cast of characters joining us today. It is Brian Sepulveda, Curt Grice, and me, Ryan Chandler. Our normal crew is all out this week, but since camp has just finished, we have taken the opportunity to tell our listeners about Riverbend and our ministries over the years there, great stories, and the unique thing that happens when we get outside of our bubble with our teenagers and our kids to help them focus on God. So, hope you enjoyed this podcast.
All right. Hey, look at us. If you are a regular listener / viewer of Tell Me More, you may think you're on the wrong podcast, but no.
Nope.
Today is your lucky day.
That's right.
The Goths have sacked Rome. The Muggles have taken over the microphone, and the inmates are, yes, indeed, in charge of the asylum. So,
are you the Goths, Brian?
I don't know.
Brian's a Goth.
Yeah.
I was Goliath. I don't know about Goth.
Oh, you were. That's right.
I told Ryan this is Three Amigos Western. We've taken the classic Western and invaded it with the Three Amigos. But we're glad that you've joined us, and this is Brian Sepulveda, Ryan Chandler, and Curt Grice. To my knowledge, we have never done anything like this before, and in all likelihood, we'll never be asked to do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, hey, let's make the most of this opportunity.
That sounds great.
So, Tell Me More usually talks about the sermon, and that's easy to do because the guy that gave the sermon is usually here. Since he's not, we'll forego that and maybe take a different tack. And let's talk about something we do know about, and that's camp. Mm-hmm. Since we have spent a good bit of time, as have many of our people over the last 10 days, at a Riverbend Retreat Center doing children's camp and youth camp, and it were good.
It was a great time. I got to go to both camps, and as I typically do, and it was a wonderful time. I got to be there with the kids, got to see the behind the scenes on a lot of things, and actually got to take part in one of the worship arts activities for the kids as the part of Goliath, and so that was a
starring role, and I would say worthy of an award.
Well, I don't know about that, but I had fun doing it with the kids. They did a great job. But then also just to see the kids praising and worshiping, lifting up their voices to God, just incredible. And then followed up right afterwards with the teenagers doing the same thing, and just all the rec stuff, and just the countless people that it takes to make camp happen is just incredible. I'm always amazed at that. So.
You have a lot of energy for camp.
I do.
He does. You're out there. It's hot. Mm-hmm. You're doing rec and all sorts of stuff, loading the truck, and it's so much. You've been doing it for a long time. Both of y'all have been involved for such a long time, and y'all's energy for it is inspirational, to say the least.
Well, Brian has a whole nother gear. It's called the camp gear, and he ain't no spring chicken anymore. Right. And I'm a fun one to talk, but he has an energy level for camp that I'm not sure he has during the rest of the year. And it's a good thing, too.
Yeah. We need it.
Yeah. And those of us who have been to camp for many, many years with Brian here, stop in our dreams.
Yeah.
So, and keep your fingers out of the laces.
Yeah.
That's right. Somebody actually made recorded me saying stop, and sent it to me. I'm going to try to figure out a way to make it my ringtone on my phone.
It's
awesome.
beautiful. And it is a classic part of camp, of youth camp. Absolutely. But you alluded to the fact that it takes so much preparation, and it starts so early.
Yeah.
If we go to a Broadway show, we can sit there and appreciate it and think, gee, that's really great. But the ones who wrote and rehearsed and scripted and built sets and costumes and music, they know what really goes into creating a Broadway show. Yeah. Maybe less like a Broadway show. It's more like building a city for 5 days. And we have to take the structure that Riverbend has provided, which gets better and better all the time. We can talk about that. But create a city for a group of citizens who have come from all over Texas. Youth camp came from Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so 1,200 people plus over the 2 weeks. Those are those are big cities.
That's incredible.
Big cities, populated largely by miners.
Yeah.
Another challenge.
Another challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't grow up going to like one consistent camp. I was telling Curt this earlier. We moved a lot. My dad was a football coach, so every 3 years we were in a new either city or school district. Did a lot of different churches, and so this camp really is unique to me. One, for the fact that we've been doing it for 56 years, but even when I became a youth minister and started taking kids to camp, I've never taken them to a camp that is as chocked full of activities as our camps are. There's something going on every second of the day. A lot of the other camps I had taken kids to.
A lot of free time?
Oh, tons of free time. Tons of free time. And so, I mean, y'all aren't lying. It's a lot of work to pull this off and give our kids and teenagers a good experience out there.
Absolutely.
And it changes every year. I guess you'd have to have multiple experiences to appreciate over time how it's evolved and changed. But it has. And the basics, I think, are still the same. But I'm grateful for everybody in leadership, and including Riverbend, for how they have sought, and we have sought collectively, just to make those improvements every year. And the kids are having a good experience. They don't have anything necessarily to compare it to, but we feel like we're giving them a really great experience.
Absolutely.
Really important.
It is.
How long have both of y'all been involved with Riverbend and the camps that are going? We've been there for 56 years, but what about just kind of each of y'all's personal history with what we've been doing out there?
Well, Brian's history here started a little bit before mine. I came in 93, so my first camp would have been 94. And I was the youth minister, and I was responsible for the youth half of camp, because back then we had a First Baptist Church camp that was sort of half children, half youth. And so I was responsible for the youth part of that. And our partnership, our friendship started shortly after I arrived. And your recollection of that may be slightly different than mine.
No, that's exactly the way I remember it. Yeah.
Recreation has always been a huge part of camp. I think for obvious reasons. I was the youth minister. Brian was the activities minister. And so I knew a lot about youth ministry. I had done camps in my previous churches, but I thought it was obvious for Brian to lead recreation for our camp, but I discovered that he had never been asked to do that before.
Not at youth camp. No, I hadn't. It was very interesting. I had gone a couple of times to help lead recreation for the children's camp. I'd gone as a counselor a couple of times for youth camp, but never to lead rec at youth camp. So I'm grateful that Curt saw that opportunity and asked me to go, and I've been going ever since then as that in that role with youth camp. But actually, I began as a fifth grader.
Oh wow!
Going to at the time it was Tarrant Baptist Association camp, and it was basically cabins and the ball field. That was about it. That's about it. There was
no waterfront.
No waterfront. There's only one pool.
Can you say rustic?
Yeah,
it's rustic.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's changed and improved over the years, and now that we have split the camps, I'm able to do both camps, and have been doing that pretty much since we split it. Because that first year we had, before David Butts came, we had that was the first year we split the camps, and so I was able to help lead the rec for the children, and then turn around and do it for the youth. And as Curt said, recreation is a huge part of camp. The camp experience, because we feel like that recreation helps build those relationships. We're not really focusing on competition and trying to win. We're trying to help build relationships and to form to build trust among the groups that are participating in recreation. And so, whenever you've got a 12th grader encouraging a little 7th or 8th grader along the way in a ball field, whenever that 12th grader as a family leader asks them to speak up or ask them for their opinion on a scripture passage they're studying at that night, that 7th or 8th grader is a little more free and trust that person even more to be able to speak up. And so I think that recreation just builds into that. And so that's been my philosophy this whole time about that. And I'm glad that Curt shares that. So
yeah, we built on that early on. There was already camp, and it had gotten, I think, better and better. But you and I got involved at a time of significant growth. And so the reason we split the two camps, much to the chagrin of some of our people. We had a way of doing things that was very comfortable, and change is always challenging. Change represents pain, and people struggle with that. But thankfully, our folks saw the benefit of that. We were having to turn people away, and I hated that. And so Riverbend periodically was adding cabins and adding beds and growing, but we were growing faster than the camp could grow. And it just bothered me that we were having to turn people away, and there were only so many mattresses we could put in the middle rooms of the bunks, and even if you had mattresses, you're not improving the infrastructure.
Exactly.
There are only so many toilets.
Yes, exactly right.
You don't have any more showers and toilets, even if you had beds. And so it just became a strain. And so it was a challenge, but we managed to split the two. And that sort of rhythm of having children's camp and youth camp at the beginning of the summer became kind of the established norm almost 30 years ago. And we've been doing it ever since.
Okay, so Brian alluded to it as well just a minute ago, like the 7th graders playing with a 12th grader. And the 12th grader is going to ask a question in case most of our church probably knows it, but if you don't, the juniors and seniors are actually the leaders of the Bible study groups.
Family leaders.
The family leaders. I actually knew that FBC Arlington did that before I ever started working here because Charles Wade's granddaughter, Carrie Kelly, was a member of the church that I was a youth minister at, First Baptist Church of the Woodlands. Her kids were in our youth ministry, and every single summer, every single one, she would say, can we do that model here? Can we do this thing? So in my mind, that's always been kind of a unique thing about the FBC Arlington way of doing camp.
It really is. It really is. And I really think it has helped develop those students into leadership roles. There are so many who are in ministry now. I mean, I'm just seeing faces going through. I don't want to start naming names because I'll forget somebody. But it just really helps them develop and take ownership and really lead out as spiritual leaders among their peers. And I think that's important.
It is. It's huge. It's wonderful training. And I think students listen to students perhaps more than they would just adults all the time. And so there's growth for the leaders. I think there's engagement by the students, by the teenagers, and it's a beautiful thing that's now just expected. It's the norm. If we tried to get rid of that, we'd have a revolt. But it's a very, very valuable part of camp, and the adults are in a supporting role, really, in those family groups. That's the building units of camp, or those family groups. I think we had 40 of them this time. 40, 40 family groups are the basic unit, the family unit of the society that is the camp, and that's the identity through their rec icon and color and their family group number and all of that. That's the identity. That's the cohesion. That's sort of the relational component of all of it, and that's where they do their Bible study, their recreation, and it's worked.
It's good,
really well. I think.
When did y'all start doing that?
Well, it was already, Bill Nichols started it years ago.
Oh, okay.
He was youth minister at the time, and he started that model, and Don McLeod carried it on, and then Randy Hull carried it on, and Curt came on and carried it on and continued to improve it, and
interesting.
It's been a good thing.
Yeah, and so it's been in effect for a long time. One of the things that was interesting about camp, it was good. There was a lot of energy, but when I came, I was frustrated because we weren't cultivating the sportsmanship like I felt like we should. There were folks that were just naturally competitive, and again, you have a senior high guy playing volleyball with a junior high girl, and it's not a fair fight, quite frankly. And so we had to help shift the whole culture towards sportsmanship. And so I think, by and large, we've established this understanding that, winning the game is okay, but man, sportsmanship is really what it's all about. Just making sure everybody has a good experience. I was refereeing Ultimate Basketball 3 this year, and one of the times there were there was a team that had some tall, older guys that were going to just dominate. And the other team just had shorter, younger folks, and it wasn't going to be a fair fight. So I pulled the taller guys aside and said, "Now remember, guys, it's all about sportsmanship. I know y'all are all great athletes. I'm sure you could dominate. Do me a favor. Try to help make sure everybody has a good experience." Well, we started the game, and that natural competitive energy came out. And so they got 10 points ahead or something. I said, guys. And all of a sudden it clicked. And they started making sure that everybody was having a good experience. And I just saw the change when they realized, man, this is satisfying. Dominating physically just because you're bigger or a better athlete or whatever, that takes so far. But when you shift and reframe and the paradigm changes and you want to make sure everybody has a good experience, it reframes the whole experience. And so that's what we're trying to cultivate with the recreation.
And we do the same thing in children's camp too, or not the same exact thing, but we give the children choices, all afternoon from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. They've got literally probably 12 to 15 different choices of activities they can do. It's everything from cooking to hiking to photography to being at the waterfront, being at the pool, playing sports, doing crafts. And they just get to do whatever it is they want to do. And if they want to be in crafts all afternoon, that's what they do. And that's great. And that is such a wonderful thing for kids to be able to make their own choices and to be able to do those things. And then to plan for those. They got to plan because they can't go back to the cabin. So they got to, I might go to the pool. I need to pack my swimsuit. I need to pack my shoes. I need closed-toed shoes for the zip line or whatever. So it's just helping them to learn and to grow and making decisions and to grow up in that. And so,
cultivating that responsibility, giving them parameters to make decisions and watching them grow into that. Some do better than others, but how do you learn to make good decisions? By making bad decisions.
Sometimes, And it's really kind of weird for some of the other churches who come to us for the first time to experience that. Where are my kids going to be? Where are my kids going to be? They're kind of freaking out and it's they're really great. Okay. They're going to be fine. We've got leaders circling all over the place to keep an eye on things, and we've got leaders at all the spots. So I really appreciate that about David Butts and the way he does the afternoon stuff. And then, we have fun carnival activities in the night and a talent show where the kids get to do their thing.
Every night for them.
It's just spectacular. So I heard you were a big hit at the talent show, Ryan. I'm sorry I missed it.
I was asked to MC some on stage.
I would say Ryan was just a big hit, period.
Wherever he goes, I think he is.
But the emceeing is just a natural persona that he has. What was your favorite game that you did? You helped lead the games. What was your favorite game at camp?
So we did one that we really, really liked, and all the kids really liked, called Gorilla Man Trap, where Michael and I kind of came up with it. Not that it was completely original to us, but we wanted to, adapt it for a modern world.
And can I say I appreciate that we're not shooting the gorillas, we're trapping and releasing the gorillas.
Exactly. So we
put your guns away.
We changed gun
and
to
releasing
to modern. Some kid asked me that, why'd y'all take gun out of it? And I tried to lightly explain, man, it's a different world. There's a lot of stuff happening in our world right now. Just it's probably not a good idea. The trap worked really well.
It did.
Oh yeah.
What was cool about it is the way Michael Glenn and I kind of planned it was he had his band doing the beat behind it, had the drummer and the bass guitarist, so they gave a beat, so we got
it was great.
So I just tried to channel my inner Beastie Boys and do my very best.
That theme song still resonates.
One of our kids saw me on Sunday, and he goes, "I've been singing Gorilla Man Trap for 2 weeks now," and so that was a
catchy
fun one.
tune, man.
I really liked that.
Really good.
A lot of the emceeing was, which you probably noticed if you were watching, spontaneous. I just get on stage, and the weather was rough this year.
A lot more rain than usual.
So there are some delays at children's camp, and David Butts is like, "Hey, you got to get on stage and entertain everybody for 15, 20 minutes." And
well, let me just say, brother, your improv skills are strong. Your improv game is strong, man.
We did our very best. I love it. I love doing that kind of thing. And I love the whole kids camp. I went to kids camp. Amy went to youth camp, and she was the nurse, one of the nurses. So we got to experience both of it collectively. Our son Beckham has been. This is his second year going, and he really loves it. So it's very similar to the camp Amy grew up in, going to as well, for the church she was in. So she had a really good time. I loved getting to be a part of it and having a good time too. The Chandlers have really enjoyed the Riverbend experience and what happens out there.
One of the things that I think Brian alluded to earlier, but for me and for him, one of the joys is seeing those who were campers at one time, children's camp and youth camp, come back as adult sponsors and still get to appreciate and enjoy that experience in a different capacity, but the legacy, the carrying on of the tradition, just really powerful. And you've got a Reagan Ashley, who's an ER nurse coming back to work at the nurse station. You got a Zach Jones, who's a police officer coming back to help with security. And so using even their vocational skills to help support this city that we create for 5 days. And yet they've got all the memories and just all the love and investment that they get to pour back. It's good.
And I saw a lot of new young adults out there too. We have some young adults who didn't grow up here, who Audrey Robinson brought to be a part of her her work crew. I didn't know that. I didn't know all these young adults were serving. So when I was at the breakfast on Sunday that honored the everything, I looked over at that table and I was like, oh, there's a lot of our new. So even our new young adults are coming, going, oh, this is really fun. I want to be a part of this and help make it
And that's
happen.
another part, all the behind the scenes stuff. You know, again, that's so just constantly moving. There's set changes going on this Broadway show all the time. And it takes a bunch of folks to do that, and they do it graciously and well. And they're volunteers, for crying out loud. We got people who take vacation every year to come out and be a part of this and sleep in cabins with kids that aren't your kids.
Stink. Literally stink.
And it's amazing, and it's a labor of love, and they do it because they think it's important. And as we were talking earlier, part of the reason it's important, the reason our church and other churches invest so heavily in children's preschool ministry, children's ministry, youth ministry is because in our country, in America, most people who ever make a commitment of their life to Christ, who ever choose to follow Jesus, do so before they graduate from high school. So we have this window of opportunity to expose them to the Jesus way and to let them experience loving relationships and a loving community. And, you know, it's easy to take it for granted if that's all you've known, but we have from our church, but from these other churches, folks that come from a lot of different backgrounds and challenges. And, you know, we've got special needs folks, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, all kinds, just folks that have come out of really, really rough settings. And so it's life-shaping for everyone, but it can be particularly life-shaping for those who have had a rough time of it, a rough go.
Yeah, it really gives them a refuge, a place of refuge, you know, just to experience something different, you know, and that's huge. You know, you said something about them learning and growing and becoming like Christ. The way Dennis or Dr. Wiles does the salvation presentation to the children, so appropriate for that age group, and just wonderful how he just walks them through that, and then gives the adult leaders opportunities to talk to them, and then just the taking of the Lord's Supper with our students at the youth camp as so meaningful and just really, really powerful. So it's great, it's fun, but it's also very meaningful, very impactful, and that's one of the things I love.
And we take very seriously the responsibility we have to present truth, to offer opportunity, but never to manipulate emotionally. And that's something we take that very seriously. It's a sacred trust that we have with these kids, with these families. And so I'm just grateful for the way our leadership honors them, respects them, gives them cards to respond on rather than sort of the passion of the moment or whatever, and then seeks to have follow-up conversations with each one.
I think that's part of the the uniqueness of FBC Arlington's legacy of doing camp this way, because as a youth minister who only took kids to a camp that somebody else was putting on, there's always that fear, that anxiety about what is this speaker going to say on stage. We have no control over him. And I've had at least one time in my career where I picked up a group and we walked out of the building because the person on stage is just very manipulative way of trying to win salvations or very inappropriate things. Other times we've gone to the camp director and said, you've got to rein in your speaker or rein in the band. And so there is a real benefit to doing camp the way we do it. And I think this way we present salvation is a big part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because kids and certainly youth are they're more and more sophisticated. It's just the world we live in, society, and yet they're still very vulnerable. They're still kids. And so you want to give them opportunities to be stretched and to grow, but you want to honor that vulnerability and make sure that we're nurturing and not manipulating. And I feel like we do a pretty good job of that. But even the way we do it, we had a number of students who expressed desire to follow Jesus, or at least to learn more. Had a number of students who expressed a desire for more information about vocational ministry and Christian service. And so, it's really good.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to ask y'all too to also share maybe some fun things that y'all have got to experience over y'all's time at Riverbend, like maybe one or two memories where that just make you laugh every time you think back over it. And I bet, I was thinking when you were talking about recreation earlier, I was like, I wonder what the first year was like for Brian and how that changed and altered over the years. So do y'all have any just favorite stories from all these camps at Riverbend?
Do you want to go first? I do.
Yeah, I'm trying to filter out what I can share. Go ahead.
When I first came, I appreciated the passion and the energy of all of it. But be honest with you, there were a lot of pranks. It was one-upmanship. There was getting at people and a lot of practical jokes. And that was just among the counselors. Forget the kids. And so trying to rein some of that in. Again, the competitive stuff, wanted to rein it in. Promote sportsmanship, the prank pulling and all, tried to rein it in. And I loved the energy that these adults had and how excited they were going to camp, but they were like little kids sometimes. And so, and I'll be honest, my dear departed friend Janet Richardson was one of the worst, and God rest her soul. But we had adults stealing each other's underwear and running up the flagpole, and pranking in the showers with raisins and stuff. And it was just all kinds of things. And I appreciated the humor of it, but I wanted to shift the focus to what I felt like was more of the urgency of the moment. And it took a while. And after I got accused of taking all the fun out of camp, everybody kind of rallied.
The underwear up the flagpole. Sounds like something out of Animal House or something like that. Wild.
True story, as God is my witness. Happened more than once.
It did, yes.
More than once.
Yes.
Well, I think back to, whenever we dedicated the field to Joe Myers, we put lights up on the field, and we had a nighttime softball game. That was with our late night activity. And we had the dot race, and we had, all kinds of things going on. And of course, we had a softball game too. I'm going to go ahead and say his name. Jeff Williams was.
I know him. He used to be the mayor.
He used to be the mayor, but he was. I was playing the umpire and behind the plate, and he was coming around, and I called somebody out on his team. He was clearly out,
right?
But Jeff saw it another way, and he made sure that he saw it another way. Yeah. We were just kind of jawing back and forth. At first, I think he was serious, and then we kind of got it, but it was good. It was that was a lot of fun.
Kick dirt on your shoes?
He did.
As I recall, he kicked dirt on your shoes.
Yeah, he kicked dirt. Yeah.
Bumping bellies.
Yeah.
So he steals the base.
Played it upright, but
did you toss him?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that, but it was fun. That was one thing, and then really, I think this year The tug of war for the counselors.
Beautiful.
Seeing that rope pop in half, that is, I will remember that forever.
Yeah, for those that weren't there, we went through 20 rounds of hardcore tug of war between the family groups and the teams and all. And finally, you declared the winner. Right. And then you kind of surprised me. You said, okay, we're going to do a counselor one.
Yeah. You don't normally do counselors?
Well, not always.
Not always. And so all the counselors get out there. Boy, they're tough. Boy, we're going to show them. So get them split up on both sides. And you go, 1, 2, 3, pull.
And then boom!
The rope snapped.
Just popped. I was like, oh my God.
And everybody goes flying in both directions. It was beautiful.
Man. I was so glad they got lots of pictures of it. Just all the expressions on people's faces.
Yeah. On Sunday, they played the video of camp, and they put that part in the video.
Yeah.
And I was looking down at whatever I was holding, and when that part came up, the whole congregation just goes, oh! And I looked up, and Amy goes, "Who's the rope popping?"
Everyone was surprised. To say it was not rigged.
No,
it was providential.
Yeah, it was wild. I've never seen that happen before. So we're buying Riverbend a new tug of war.
Yeah, all right, that's good.
Yeah,
we got the mileage out of it.
Yeah, we did.
Now, Joe Myers isn't the only person who has a field out there named for him. There's also
Brian Sepulveda Field.
That's right.
It is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I'm glad that they got happened because of all the rain we got. Yeah. When they did that field, they put lights up, but they also did some drainage work.
Yes.
And with all the rain that we had beforehand, we would not have been able to do recreation on that field because it did not drain like it.
No,
like
it was a hard-packed goat pasture with lots of puddles before. And now it's this beautiful manicured. It looks like the Masters. Looks like Augusta National. Yeah, it's Augusta
That's all
National.
I've seen it. I have not seen it before. Is the Brian Sepulveda field?
It is level. It's soft. It's rich. It's beautiful.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So the field that was done a couple years ago. I know also the chapel, the new chapel has been built.
Legacy Chapel.
We got to use that at our fall family getaway. The young family ministry, David Butts has been doing it for a long time, takes young families out there at Labor Day weekend. So we got to use the new chapel last year. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi's blazing fast in that building too. What are some other really just important improvements that have happened over the past maybe 5 years or so at Riverbend?
Well, I think just the turning of the old chapel into the new canteen, the legacy.
Oh yeah, that was really cool this year.
Legacy
That's really good.
Yeah, it was a good addition. And then
because canteen was outside, right?
Yes,
the canteen was outside. Yeah, behind the worship center.
Yes. Yeah. I went over to that new canteen in the old chapel. And I was going, oh, this is a cool space to hang out in.
It really is.
My grandkids sure liked it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think right across the way, the rec point, the recreation area with the basketball courts and the jungle and
the soccer
field,
indoor
the
soccer
field.
Yeah,
and, that's been a good addition. Archery tag has been fairly recent new addition, I think, and just improving at the lake. The improvements at the pool. We just redid the slides there at the pool. There's now 2 pools. So, and we're fixing to begin a capital campaign program to continue to make significant improvements. And so I look forward to that. So,
but all of the cabins have been refurbished.
Yeah. The cabins, cabin 9 was redone. They finished it like right before we got there.
But I'm saying that's no small thing because I guess if you're not staying in the cabin, you don't care. But if you're living in there, that's a huge improvement.
Yeah.
I noticed the AC works really good in every building. And
That's right.
Growing up, going to camps, I grew up going to one called Alto Frio down in Lakey, and then the other ones I took kids to. I was hot the whole time, sweating the whole time, laying in my bunk, sticking to that mattress.
What is Frio? Isn't Frio
cold?
Yeah,
Frio. Well, the camp.
High Alto is high and cold.
I haven't been out to Alto Frio in a long time, but when I was going there was nothing
cold about it.
Yeah, besides the river, that was the only attraction there was you got to go get in the river. Yeah. But I really appreciated going to bed in an actually AC.
Interesting fact, the reason why there is air conditioning at Tarrant Baptist Association is because of Dr. East, our pastor. Right. He was, when they were building the camp, he said, we've got to have air conditioning in there. He helped make that happen. So
Hennard East, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. That's right, Well, awesome. Thank goodness. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dr. East.
Exactly.
We get to have a very pleasant experience today.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is greatness.
Well,
Well, about out of time, aren't we?
I don't know.
We're about running out of time here.
Okay,
Anything else, though, that y'all feel is important, maybe for some of our people that are listening, to just know about Riverbend and the importance of it in the life of our church or our students or our families? Like, if you could make an elevator pitch for Riverbend and what it does for us, what might you say to some of our people?
We get people out of their normal routine to experience God, and God shows up every time. He's so gracious, and the experience of being out in nature is always, I think, profound, to experience God in the beauty of his nature, and to create a nurturing environment with as few distractions as possible, and a focus on the Word of God, the Spirit of God, the worship of God. Just never fails to accomplish what God intends, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I would say, our church, we consider Riverbend holy ground. You go through that gate and you sense God's presence. And there have been so many significant spiritual decisions made by so many people, not just our church, but definitely our church. We're talking specifically of our church. And so just that importance of having a place that is really, truly considered holy, I believe. And Riverbend's call or motto or whatever you want to call it is for them to provide a place of refuge where people can experience Christ. And I think they do that very well, and I'm grateful for that. And so because we do every time we go out there, whether it's for a family getaway or for staff retreat or for camps, whatever, we do have that opportunity to experience Christ, and it's transforming. So
one other thing I want to mention, just a note about the offering.
The
missions offering. We encourage the kids to give of their ice cream money as they are willing and able. And during children's camp, we encouraged them to buy audio Bibles so that people in Sierra Leone can have access to Scripture in their own language through these solar-powered audio Bibles. And they gave enough for 133 audio Bibles, which is amazing.
Really great.
And then at youth camp, we encouraged them to buy goats for church planting pastors in the bush in Sierra Leone. And they gave enough for 63 goats.
Wow.
At $75 a pop. And those are both very, very significant mission giving, mission involvement, engagement kinds of things.
So I get the audio Bibles, but maybe our listeners don't know the significance of the goats.
Well, when you're subsistence living and these pastors don't necessarily have regular jobs because they're pastoring their churches, and so the goats have multiple possibilities. Obviously, in the short run, you could eat them. You can breed them. You can milk them. You can trade them. There's just all kinds of things you can do with a goat that's a valuable currency in West Africa. And so it empowers them and gives them an opportunity to make some choices based on the unique situation they're in. And it hopefully creates opportunity for additional growth in ministry and providing for their families.
Yeah, good.
Terrific.
Good.
So many unique things about camp. Worship, opportunity to turn our attention and focus to God. Mission, able to, I think every day we emphasize either audio Bibles or the GOAT ministry, and recreation and fellowship and koinonia, silence, no cell phones, the ability to listen and not just constantly saturated by media. If you're listening,
and that's one of the neat things is to watch during quiet time, watch children and youth just spread out in isolation, praying with their Bibles, with their books, whatever. We said competition is good and sportsmanship is better. Scripture memory is the best. And so if you want to be a winner, memorize the Word of God. That pays off big time.
Yeah, so many good reasons to come to camp. So praying for this camp, for Riverbend, for our church, and just the future. And looking forward to, as a new staff member, FBC Arlington, looking to many more futures, taking our kids to camp and being part of it.
Good deal.
Amen.
So thanks,
guys. Hey, this is fun.
That was fun. Well, I wonder when they're going to be gone again.
I don't know. Let's see. We'll encourage the group to be gone. Next week, I'm assuming perhaps Dennis and Luke and Katie will be back.
Yeah.
But if not, you might see us again. So.
Yeah. And we'll see you then.
Thanks.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Tell Me More podcast today. You can subscribe to this podcast on your app of choice, or you can visit us at fbca.org to find out more information about the podcast and our church. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.